of Muslim hip hop fans. It's interesting. I don't feel like I have a relationship with them as a group yet. Like there's individuals that come to my shows. There's usually a few Muslims that come to each show, and the ones that actually come out, I feel a really strong bond with. You know what I mean? Especially they're more easily identifiable when it's women. You know what I mean? Just because they're wearing hijabs and stuff like that. But as a group, I don't feel like I'm not sure that I have like a huge following among Muslims. You know what I mean? There's really only one organization called Iman out of Chicago that I work with and where I perform at straight up Muslim events. You know what I mean? But I don't feel like there's I would like for there to be, a stronger connection. But I'm not going to force it. You know what I mean? I'm not going to, I make my music as art, not as Islamic art. You know what I mean? I make my music as music, not as Islamic hip-hop music or Muslim rap music. You know what I mean? Like, I just try to make the best, I believe that, the excellence is like the key theme, the most common theme all the way through Al-Islam. And, we're taught that, the Prophet said anything that a Muslim strives to do, they seek to perfect it. And so I feel like Islam has wanted me to be the best artist I can be, the best songwriter I can be, the best performer I can be, best musician I can be, the best figure I can be, And I really feel like the little bit of experience that I have tells me that the best way for me being the best artist I can be means to be the most honest and real and genuine and sincere that I can be. And so if I'm going to talk about all these big, high, ideal things that I do a lot of the time, just trying to get people to look at ourselves differently and talk about patience, perseverance, and tackle issues like homelessness and divorce and slavery and rape and, etc., that I also need to be real enough to show you the shallow side of me or the crass side of me too. So I curse a lot in my music, you know what I mean? But that's just how I talk. And so I make my music the way I talk. And so there are Muslims that don't want to hear that, and I respect that. I respect that they don't want to hear that. So there's a lot of Muslims that just won't have my music in their home because they don't want to hear all that cussing. And I understand that, you know what I mean? But don't criticize me for cursing and then you listen to 50 Cent. You know what I mean? But for people who just don't have that kind of stuff in their house, I understand. Or don't go watch The Sopranos, but you won't listen to me. You know what I mean? Because I'm a Muslim, and so you have a higher standard for me than you do for the rest of the world.
Yeah, that's a big thing with hip-hop and violence. But also, with the current state of Islam in the West, and particularly the media, there's a near synonymous use of the term radical and Islamic. That's very problematic. Could you describe how that affects your self-awareness when you present your religion through your lyrics?
I mean, I don't feel like it's my responsibility to try to present my religion. I present myself. You know what I mean? It's very, very different. And I believe that that's my job, or that's my role in art, is to do that, or at the table of hip-hop or music or whatever. I feel like it's my job to present myself. I feel like that's the particular gift that I was given. And so I am a Muslim, and I'm a practicing Muslim, you know what I mean? Like, I pray, and I'm about to go to Hajj, and I fast, and, I don't chase girls after my shows, and you know what I mean? But so when you hear me talk, you hear me talk about everything in my life. So you hear me talk about the history of hip-hop that I grew up in. You hear me talk about my kids. You also hear me talk about the Quran, or you hear me mention, something having to do with the fact that I'm a Muslim. But I don't feel like it's my responsibility to do that. And realistically, I feel like that's the best public relations move that we can make, is just to be more open about who we are and stop trying to we always get into this big debate between people throw up the worst picture of us, but it is a reality. You know what I mean? We do have extremists amongst us. We do have injustice to women amongst us. We do have, you know, these are real problems, you know what I mean? But what we always tend to do is throw up this big ideological picture of what al-Islam is. You know what I mean? And we say, Islam is the religion of peace. Well, that doesn't mean anything to people who aren't Muslim. They don't care that we say that, because they feel like, well, that's what you say, but your reality is these extreme radicals who beat women and you know what I mean? And so what we need to, in my personal opinion, is that we need to show them not the ideal of what al-Islam is, which is good too. It's good. That's a good thing for people to know too. But when they're looking at one side of our reality, we should just show them the other side of our reality, which is people like me, which is families working and going to school and loving, and you know what I mean? And not exaggerate what it really is to be a Muslim, you know what I mean? Or not really exaggerate who we are. Be honest about who we are, to show ourselves, flaws and all, to the world. Because that's the only thing, that's what really connects with people, is when you can connect a face or an individual to what we're talking about.
Yeah. Now, if you were given that opportunity to present yourself to a larger Muslim audience throughout the world, how do you feel that connection with hip-hop culture is that you can have with them, and also your identity through your religion, how do you feel that could shape the world, become the future generations?
I mean, I think that hip-hop is just such a human thing. You know what I mean? I think that's what people connect with it, is the human truth of it. It's so communicative. Like, it's such a dense spectrum of voices and thoughts and opinions and imagery, and you know, there's so much there. It's like so vast, and there's so much substance there, good or bad or otherwise. You know what I mean? And so it speaks to people all over the world, man. It's like such a great way, it particularly caters to people who otherwise don't have a voice. You know what I mean? So I've heard some hip hop from Palestine that's like really powerful, or from, you know, oppressed and marginalized North Africans in France. You know what I mean? Or, you know, and that's true here in America too. You know, and like hip hop is such a great tool for that. So rather than, like, I would like for my music to be heard there, but way more important than that is for them to be able to use hip hop to express themselves. You know what I mean? Like, that's to me, that's what's more important, is for them to be, for Muslims around the world to view hip hop as a vehicle or as a medium for the world to hear our voices. You know what I mean?